Get in the know. Non-stop Vikings talk. It's Purple Daily on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
When I tell you guys I love you, I mean it from the bottom of my heart. I will ride with this group until they don't let us play anymore games.
Short week, Lambeau Field. We're creeping our way toward another Vikings football game here. Don't forget Vikings Vent Line. It was a hot episode on Monday night. It is the place to be right after Vikings games finish up on the Purple Daily YouTube channel. So I'm guessing you've all probably dabbled. If you're listening to this show on a random Thursday, you probably also dabble in Vikings Vent Line. But tell your friends. It's the place to be. Phil, Judd, Declan, our executive producer, Purple Daily, presented by Quick Trip, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. Also, a shout out to our friends over at Ugly Deck. Judd, tell the audience before we get to a State of the Vikings offense episode and a Random Viking of the Week why they should be interested in Ugly Deck.
Because it's going to give you a beautiful deck as you are watching there and you're saying, why are those people so happy? Why are they dancing? Because you saw the ugly deck that started this spot. Well, look at that deck right there. It's gorgeous. How would you like to be the latest on your block to have a gorgeous deck? All you have to do is take advantage of the fact that uglydeck.com is offering what they're calling a Reserve My Deck Package Now special for the DIYer who wants to build a deck in the spring and most importantly, save huge. This is only for a limited number of customers who reserve their deck package now. Uglydeck.com is offering up to $1,000 off a full deck package, plus locked-in pricing for 2023. Uglydeck.com will deliver your deck package to your driveway by May 1st of 24, and you will be the smartest DIYer on your block because you're going to save as much as, get this, $10,000 on your deck build. Remember, with Ugly Deck, you get free plans, a free coach, access to their online deck build academy, and they will install your footings and ledger. You do the rest. You save huge. Uglydeck.com is the place to go. Reserve My Deck Package Now is the button to click, and you will have a gorgeous deck come springtime.
Isn't this fun right now? God, the Vikings are sitting here. You've got the Packers on the horizon. The Vikings could get back to 500 this weekend. There's also a trade deadline on Tuesday in which the Vikings could be buyers or sellers. We did a big discussion with Doogie about it. We even talked about Derrick Henry.
I love it.
A safe space for reckless speculation. But this is it's a pretty fun time to be following this team here going into Week 8, isn't it?
This is what makes this league fun. This is what makes this league. You think that the team that you talk about every day or that you follow closely is just absolutely dead, right? 1-4. There's just really no hope. Should they dump everybody? And it's a fun discussion at that time. But in this league, a couple of weeks change everything.
Yeah, and right now, just looking at the standings here, so the Vikings obviously are 2 games behind the Lions for the division lead. But in terms of wild card, they are a half game behind the Buccaneers for the 7th seed, so the final wild card spot. They're a game and a half behind both the Seahawks and the Cowboys. And they're tied right now on the outside looking in with the Rams, Commanders, the Saints, who they're going to play in a few weeks. But then we sit here and look at how the Packers are kind of the Packers are only a half game behind the Vikings.
I know.
The Bears are only a game behind the Vikings. And those teams are closer to picking number 1 overall than they are, making a playoff run. But everything is jumbled. And this game against the Packers will provide a lot more clarity. If they win, maybe you're buying on Tuesday, but you're certainly full steam ahead and you're not trading Danielle Hunter. If you lose, you're not even totally out of the playoff race. But what do you do on Tuesday? So in a week from now, we're going to have a lot more answers as to what this team is going to be doing the second half of the season.
I've been thinking about this. I think even if they lose on Sunday, if they lose on Sunday and they fall back 2 games below 500 again, I think it's still a 90% chance now Hunter stays.
Oh, agreed. That win against the Niners probably solidified.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. Now could you trade, as we talked about with Doogie, KJ Osborne perhaps? Yeah, perhaps. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Hunter was, because Kirk was not going to be traded. Hunter was the biggest fish in the pond of because if you trade him, I think that you could get a 1st round pick back, possibly, very possibly. I think he's safe now.
Yeah. So let's get into the state of the offense here, gentlemen. We'll give you a couple just big picture ranking categories, and then we'll get into the meat and potatoes of this episode. Where does the Vikings offense rank in 4 key categories? They are 18th in points per game. They're 5th in yards per play. So top 5 in moving the football, 18th in actually cashing it and scoring.
Yeah. Yep.
They're 14th in expected points added on the analytical side, and then they're 14th in DVOA on the analytical side. And those also are dinged because you've turned the ball over so many times. Like, that's going to factor in. The yards per play doesn't include turnovers necessarily, right? But all the other stuff does. And so if you were to not have turned the ball over 4 times on the goal line, you're probably top 10 in EPA, probably top 10 in DVOA, and everything feels a lot better. Turnovers have really continued to be, even the first drive of that game against the Niners, have continued to be this team's biggest problem. Kirk Cousins, where does he rank? Currently ranks 4th in passer rating, 12th in QBR, which is more of a contextual passer rating, 7th in PFF grade, and 8th in expected points added. So there's going to be a bigger Kirk Cousins category here, so we'll save our Kirk Cousins discussion for one of these categories. Let's start with how good is the Vikings offensive line as the first category. Is it actually really good now? So pass protection, how are they doing, right? This has been the bugaboo. They've always had like a weak link or two that just ruins everything, especially with a non-mobile quarterback, a pocket passing quarterback. Pass protection grade, PFF has the Vikings 3rd as a unit in the NFL. ESPN's pass block win rate,
Football.
right, has the Vikings offensive line 7th in pass protection. So by both of those measurements, 3rd and 7th, the Vikings have one of the best pass protecting offensive lines in the NFL. Run blocking, PFF has the Vikings offensive line number 1 in the league this week. Not for just last week, like for the season.
Yep.
They've got the running backs, the Vikings running backs, 30th in terms of doing their job.
Yep.
ESPN has the Vikings run block win rate, it's called, 12th, so not quite as high. So the truth might sit somewhere in the middle, but either way, by PFF and ESPN measurements, if you put it all together, the Vikings have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL through the first 7 games.
So the game on Sunday at Lambeau is going to be really intriguing regarding this portion of the Vikings offense because of this. So the Vikings run game, and this is incredible. So clearly the advanced metrics state that the Vikings offensive line, when it comes to run blocking, are doing a fantastic job. Mm-hmm. I think that's helped by the fact that, you know what? He might not make a ton of plays, but Josh Oliver steps in, right? And as Booney demonstrates once a week for us, does a fantastic job there. Yeah. Nonetheless, the Vikings are 30th in the league in rushing. So they're rushing offense. So to your point, the running backs themselves are directly responsible in some ways, largely, for dragging this thing down. Now, Green Bay is 30th in run defense. Wow,
juicy.
This is the game. Like if you are now going to a committee and you're going to use Madison and Akers, and again, I would find a way to use Chandler. Yeah. Every time you give the ball to Chandler, you feel like there's a potential that something good might happen.
It looks different than when you give the ball to the other guys. Like, he's clearly more explosive.
Well,
yes. Yeah.
It feels like if you were, and I am not a big car guy, we'll all admit that, right? But if you were to compare cars, Madison is sort of the guy who's got 2 gears, and then that's it. Like, there's no real explosion. Akers, you watch him and you're like, oh, okay, there's a 3rd gear there. Chandler, you feel like there's a 4th gear there, don't you?
Dude, this is one of the best car analogies I've heard.
Like what are my car equivalents? Is Madison like a Pinto, and Chandler's like a Ferrari? I mean, I don't know.
Madison's like a Plymouth Acclaim from the early 90s or something.
Okay. Okay.
Like he'll get you from A to B, but not necessarily,
He's a Honda Accord from back in the day.
Okay. In the right lane. Lane. When he gets in the left lane, you're like, I don't know, man. You might want to move over.
You're like, Madison, move that car over.
Yeah, I mean, That's why, just going back to the reckless speculation conversation, if the Vikings, let's say they beat Green Bay and they decide, okay, it's Monday, we got 36 hours until the trade deadline, we're 4-4, we just beat the Niners, we're back on track here, we've stopped turning the ball over on every freaking trip to the red zone. What do we want to do the rest of the season? I don't think they're going all in and trading like multiple first round picks. Like they're not doing like a Jalen Ramsey trade, some of that stuff. But dude, like I would consider trading a day 2 pick for Derrick Henry if the Vikings beat the Packers, look great, and it's just obvious they need a running back who can take advantage. Alexander Mattison should really be relegated to his old role when Dalvin Cook was here. And by the way, this might be a good transition actually into the second category, which is running backs. I'm going to lump these kind of all together because this is all kind of part of this conversation. Okay.
Football.
So one more thing on the offensive line, then the running backs, then we can have this bigger discussion. Out of 198 qualified offensive linemen this season who've played enough snaps, 198 of them, tackles, guards, centers. The number 1 ranked offensive lineman in the NFL, according to PFF, is Christian Darrisaw.
Mm-hmm.
The Vikings have the best offensive lineman in the entire league. Among right tackles, let's start to go to the other positions here. Brian O'Neill, according to PFF, is the second best right tackle in the NFL, behind only Penei Sewell, who's played both left and right. So in terms of just pure right tackles, Brian O'Neill is the best right tackle in the NFL. Guards, Ezra Cleveland, 9th out of 81. Ed Ingram, 27th out of 81. He's the weak link, but he's not nearly as weak of a link as he was last year.
Right.
And Garrett Bradbury is currently 9th out of 40 qualified centers. Those guys are doing their job. We've laid it out here. On the running back side, so I'll give you this category here. It's called elusive rating, okay?
Football.
You people came to this episode wanting an update on the offense, and we are taking you much deeper into the weeds than you probably bargained for. So if this is too wonky, let us know in the comment section. But PFF has a signature stat that measures elusive rating. And to back up a step, we use some of these PFF metrics because it's not like there's 5 other options. PFF consults for all 32 teams. So it's a web of like advanced information and analysis. If other publications gave you this type of information, we would use it on this show, but it's literally the only publication that works with NFL teams, measures this stuff, and then brings the information to the public. So why do you guys use PFF? Well, is it perfect all the time? No, but it's what 32 NFL teams lean on for data. So that's the why. Elusive rating it's a signature stat that measures the success and impact of a running back independent of the blocking. So
it's FIP.
It's like FIP in
It's
baseball.
FIP. We got football FIP.
Yes. There you go. So, if the offensive line is just road grading 10 yards from the line of scrimmage, right, and you're just kind of walking behind them, then you don't deserve as much credit necessarily. So this is ranking all 59 qualified running backs by how good and elusive are they independent of the blocking, right? So Dalvin Cook is 45th out of 59. He's cooked. It was a good decision to move on from Dalvin Cook, right?
Absolutely.
Alexander Mattison is 41st out of 59. So he's been better than Dalvin Cook, but he's 41st out of 59.
Yep.
Cam Akers, 36th out of 59. So better than Madison, but that Miami running back that burst on the scene this year is number 1 by a mile in terms of elusive rating. Like once that dude gets in the open space, it's over.
Mm-hmm.
So basically they have no running backs, and we don't know with Ty Chandler because he hasn't played enough snaps. But they have no running backs in the top 35 in elusive rating, and that's why that's a huge reason why they're not cashing in on some of these runs. So like if they beat the Packers and the trade deadline's coming up, and let's say the Titans are like, I don't know, no one's biting on this thing. Like, would you trade a 3rd round pick for a half season of Derrick Henry? Like, these are the types of things that are popping into my mind on state of the offense this week.
I probably would not trade a 3rd round pick for that because I still don't know. I much prefer if you're going to, if the question is, would you start to trade draft picks that are first or second day for potential guys to help you? I would take the 2023 Twins philosophy which was, you know what, we're going to try to win with what we've got.
Sure.
Because I don't see this as like a, oh my God, if I get Derrick Henry, we're over the top. He would improve you. I don't know that he would put you where you want to go for the price that he would cost you. But I would call on my coaching staff, and I would call on O'Connell to find different ways to do things. And again, I think if you close the gap between Madison and Akers and even Chandler to a certain point, and you got more creative with how you use them, and I'm just saying as far as snap counts go,
Yeah.
That would be what I would like to see, because I think that there is way more that you can do here, as opposed to, and they started to do this a little bit on Monday night against San Francisco, as opposed to just saying Madison's going to get the majority of the carries, which has been my gripe all season long.
Mm-hmm.
So currently the Vikings do not have even a third round pick for next year's draft. They have a second round pick. So after their first round pick, they have one selection between that and 115 for next year. So, and that's obviously based on the fact of where the Vikings are drafting now. But they don't have a third round pick, so that makes things very complicated, I think, for trading for Derrick Henry. Now they do have 2 fourths, like, you know, in a fantasy world in Madden, like, yeah, would I trade 2 4th round picks for Derrick Henry probably, or a 4th and a future 3rd or something in the year after draft? Yes, I would. But I just don't think I don't think it makes much sense to give up that much capital for a running back when you should probably just find this, I think, in the draft, maybe on day 2 instead of just trading a pick for Derrick Henry.
I think they actually do have a 3rd round pick, don't they? Because
according to Tankathon, they don't. They have a 1st, a 2nd, 2 4ths, 2 5ths, and a 6th.
So their 3rd round pick was tied up in the Hawkinson trade for the 2022 season. It was a 2024 conditional. So they traded TJ Hawkinson, a 2023 4th round pick, and then a 2024 conditional pick, which was a 4th if the Vikings do not win a playoff game in 2022. Otherwise, it's a 5th. I don't know. So there's conflicting information here, I guess, on their 3rd round pick. This is from Prospect Transactions draft status. So I don't know. I don't know who I trust, but
they do own Detroit's 4th round pick according to this chart. So the Vikings do have that, but yeah, as of now at least it looks like they don't. But
I'm sure some of our listeners will tell us in the comment section of the YouTube channel here which draft picks they do have and which ones you would or wouldn't trade for Derrick Henry. So
Yep. I just found 2 stories that said that they don't have a 3rd round pick, but they do have 2 4th round picks. So
there you go.
But yes, as far as the question, the hypothetical on a reckless speculation Thursday, I think I would try to get by with what I have. And I think I would say, Kevin, you called an unbelievable game on Monday. Let's try to replicate that as much as possible, which I think is very fair. Like, I don't think I'm being a smartass there.
Yeah. Well, the best, you've already mentioned, like the best thing that could happen with this running back group is that Ty Chandler becomes an answer, right? He becomes a guy that he's not getting 20 carries a game.
Right.
You got to bring some different guys in on 3rd down. CJ Ham's been a 3rd down, just blocking running back, you know, hey, where's the blitz coming from? And he's not a guy. This is the thing. It's like they've got 4 guys that they're using. None of them are like all-encompassing options. Alexander Madison is just he's just kind of a guy. He's not explosive. You can put him in on all the scenarios, but he's got the most drops of any running backs. You know,
that actually bothers me the most.
Yeah, you can't.
Like, of all the stuff, that bothers me the most.
Cam Akers is probably your best overall option, but let's not overrate where he's at after some surgeries and the Rams dumping him after the first week. CJ Ham might be your best blitz picker-upper on 3rd down. Yeah. But he's not explosive, and he's not a guy that you're going to get the ball to. And then Ty Chandler is the most explosive, but you don't trust him to pick up anyone in pass protection. So it's like, can you find a way to get the ball in Ty Chandler's 4.3 40-yard dash hands and feet on a more regular basis?
The thing I like about Akers, where I do think that he can replace some of Madison's touches, is what you said about catching the ball. Because what I want is, and to Declan's long-standing point of this team being an inexplicably awful screen team, it looks like, from what I've seen, Akers can catch the ball.
Yeah.
Like, Madison, it's not an overstatement. It's not hyperbole to say he probably went a long way towards losing the Chiefs game. if he catches that pass, he's probably going to walk into the end zone. And at that point, I think you're tied. So that changes that entire game. On Monday night, if I am not mistaken, he dropped a pass in the end zone, and when he didn't just sit down there and make the catch. So like those are the things that really bother me because, dude, oh, okay, you don't have a ton of gears. I get that. Like they trust you. But if you can't catch the ball in 2023 as a running back, why am I going to trust you?
Unless you're Adrian, if you're Adrian Peterson in 2009, you can't catch a pass that well, which he caught 45 passes a couple times. So
he did.
Okay, the last category here, and it's a beefy one if we want it to be. It's just digging into Kirk Cousins here, and specifically when you give him time to do his job, he is incredible this season. We've known this about him for the duration of his Vikings career, and it's funny because like the complaints from me about Kirk are never, boy, look at how much he's struggling when the conditions are near perfect, right? It's always, you're being paid to overcome imperfect conditions. Can you be a little bit better off script, please? Can you put the team on your back a little bit more often? But he did both of those things against the Niners. No Justin Jefferson, cool. I'm going to make Jordan Addison a star tonight. I'm going to get the ball to Hawkinson 11 times. But here's the number I want to key in on. The 2.5 seconds to throw mark is kind of a standard mark for offensive lines doing their job versus pass rushers doing their job. Did you get to the quarterback within 2.5 seconds? That's a defensive lineman's job. Did you give the quarterback 2.5 seconds to throw? That's the offensive line's job. So Kirk Cousins gets 2.5 seconds to throw, the 8th most out of any quarterback in the league, if that makes sense. So of all the quarterback, how often do you get 2.5 seconds or more to throw? He ranks 8th. So it's a lot for him. Mm-hmm. But everybody else above him on this list is mobile for the most part. Most of them anyways. Justin Fields is number 1. He's getting 2.5 seconds because he's creating 2.5. He's creating 3 seconds, 4 seconds. Lamar Jackson is actually, I think he's below Kirk on this list. But Lamar Jackson, there was that clip on Sunday where he literally had like 9 seconds to throw. The offensive line did a great job at first, but then he's like, there's still nothing open. I'm going to move over here and create some time, right? Russell Wilson can still move a little bit. Deshaun Watson's on this list. Zach Wilson can move. That's about all he can do. Josh Allen's on this list. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, and Kirk Cousins is on this list with Jimmy Garoppolo and Sam Howell also. Those are more like the less mobile guys. Okay. So here's the thing. When you give Cousins more than 2.5 seconds to throw a pass, he has the 3rd highest PFF grade, behind only Lamar Jackson and Tua. He has the 2nd most touchdowns, behind only Josh Allen. He has the 2nd highest completion percentage, behind Lamar Jackson. The 2nd highest passer rating, behind Lamar Jackson. And the lowest turnover-worthy play rate of any quarterback when he's given at least 2.5 seconds to throw. I will say, when you go the other way and you look at where does he rank when he's got less than 2.5 seconds to throw,
right?
It's bad.
Right.
It's a very different story with all of these categories. So
right.
This kind of verifies, like, dude, when you give him time to throw the football, when you give him protection, when you let him picture everything out there, right? Yeah. He's going to carve your ass up like he did on Monday night against the 49ers.
If he has time to process things, he's very, very good. But I mean, you know what? So in this case, what you just laid out from a statistical standpoint dovetails perfectly with the eye test. Because like, and you can see Kirk when he doesn't have time to process, like you can see the gears going and they're not and it's not a positive. So like that is Kirk. And you know what? That's a lot of guys, I'm sure, because he can move, but he can't really run. And he does, he slides around at times, but that is not surprising, but that is where I think the narrative has probably not changed as much as it should, which is all of the things that you said about how the offensive line is playing and how often he does have time now, and how there was, a few years for sure, maybe there were more, where he didn't have that type of time and his issues were exposed. But this speaks to the fact that if he has time to process, what he's supposed to do, he is great. Not a surprise. The issue is this. There's going to be games where the offensive line probably is not great again.
Yeah.
Guys get hurt. Who knows? And so, that's the question. When you step into the playoffs, can you have, I don't know, let's say 2 to 3 consecutive games where things might break down, all hell might break loose, and now it's on you to go make the play.
It is encouraging that they just did it though against one of the teams that you will have to go through in the playoffs, right? Like it's one thing to do it against the Bears or the Panthers or whatever, but to hold up like they did for the most part against the 49ers. But yeah, those are the teams you're going to face like 3 times on your way to a Super Bowl. So this is kind of the expectation. You know what the stakes are here. If you're going to give Kirk a chance to carve a defense, it's not going to be because he's running for his life, which we've known for 6 years. Right? Mm-hmm. But this is about as good as you can get it with an offensive line here the first 7 weeks of the season for the Vikings. Like it's hard to ask for more than what the offensive line has given Kirk and this team so far.
Can you do it? And I'm not just talking Kirk here. I'm talking the line. I'm talking the entire offense. Can you do it in a playoff game where San Francisco or Philadelphia, for example, are completely prepared? And the other thing that helped a lot on Monday, and I have poked and been critical of Hawkinson because of his time that he missed in training camp with what amounted to a hold in. Nick Bosa, who held out for all of training camp, right now is 2.5 sacks.
Mm-hmm.
So like if he doesn't flip the switch at some point here, he is not the player that he should be or was.
And Christian
that's not to
Darrisaw
take away,
kicked his ass on
and Darrisaw did a great job. This is not to take away. People, hear me clearly. Christian Darrisaw played great.
Hater.
He played outstanding. But, when you get to a playoff game, if Nick Bosa is back to being Bosa and he's now prepared, like those are the questions. That's what becomes intriguing to me.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, it's when you give Kirk time, you're probably going to get your defense carved up, and he's showing that again in 2023. So that's my final category for you guys.
Can I add in one? Because I've been doing because we all know that the fumbles and the picks are not acceptable. And the fact that in 7 games now, the Vikings 4 times their opening drive have turned over the ball, which has led to 21 points. And until Monday night's game had led to points each and every time that the Vikings lost the ball. So it's no secret that has to end. And they did. They were a +2 on Monday against the Niners in the turnover battle. But the other one, and O'Connell needs to fix this, and this is on him, I think, a lot. The red zone. If I'm not mistaken, I looked it up yesterday. I think they're like 23rd in red zone offense. And if Brock Purdy had led San Francisco back on Monday on that last drive, which was entirely possible, the Vikings, as we talked about a couple days ago, deep red, twice 0 for 2. This team is too talented offensively to accept being that far down. Mm-hmm. And to go back to your first category, Phil, when you're talking about points scored, that has to come up. Like, this team, again, is too talented not to be scoring more points. And settling for field goals against the Niners in the deep red worked on Monday, but it ain't going to work consistently against teams like that. The red zone offense, and this starts in the head coach's office, has to improve.
Yeah, they're so you're right. They are 23rd in red zone offense. They are sandwiched between the Falcons and the Cardinals, with the Raiders also right there and the Steelers just above them. Are those the types of offenses that you want to be associated with in the red zone? They're literally chanting "Fire Matt Canada" at Penguins games in Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
No, dude, they're chanting it at Penguins games.
Games?
At the Penguins games. It's outstanding.
That's awesome.
But no, to answer your question, no.
Yeah, they had the Dolphins convert almost 80% of their red zone trips into touchdowns. The Vikings are under 50% so far this year.
Yeah.
So and on the turnover side, because this is all intertwined, all of it, like the turnovers,
100%.
The turnovers are the reason why their red zone percentage sucks. The Vikings, so the Raiders have overtaken the Vikings for total turnovers and turnover rate because they can't get out of their own way, and now they're using backup quarterbacks. Brian Hoyer apparently is still in the NFL. We found that out in the last couple weeks.
Daniels.
Yes.
Good for those guys.
Yeah.
So the Raiders are the worst turnover team in the league. They've passed the Vikings, but the Vikings are the second worst turnover team. They have 14 turnovers in 7 games, and it was pacing for more than that for a while, right? But this is the number that really, like, if you contextualize it this way, the Vikings turnover percentage, meaning percentage of drives that end in a turnover, is almost 20%, which is 1 in every 5 drives for the Vikings ends in a turnover.
Yes.
Not ridiculous. A punt, not a, like a turnover.
Right.
It's ridiculous.
But the red zone, come on. You get to the 2 and you can't punch the damn football in?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Get your ass in the end zone.
Like you're trying to tush push? You're that desperate?
Well, the tush push, as we found out with Booney, if you do it right, could actually work. I don't know, from the 2-yard line, I don't know. I disagree with him on that one.
But the tush push feels like something the Eagles have worked really hard on. Like the Eagles clearly have put in the time, and other teams are seeing it now, and they're like, "Let's tush push, let's try that." And it doesn't feel like there's as much work that's gone into it. But the point is, you're at the 2-yard line, okay? Punch the damn football in.
Yeah, it shouldn't be that much to ask for. The Vikings have 16 passing touchdowns and no rushing touchdowns.
Here's an idea. First rushing touchdown of the season on Sunday, Danielle Hunter scores it. Put him in the damn backfield. No one's stopping him. He's a beast. The man is. Put Danielle Hunter in at the 2-yard line, in the backfield. Hand him the damn football, and he's going to bowl over everybody and score a touchdown. Do you remember?
You might have gone too far. You might have gone too far.
You guys don't remember? You guys don't remember?
What, William Refrigerator
Perry?
Yeah. Well, that's like the Patriots have worked on that. Man. I don't know about that.
How about Mike Vrabel catching touchdown passes?
I mean, you really want a big fat, like you want a Linval Joseph type. You don't want Danielle Hunter type. Like
you also like what's going to happen when Danielle Hunter takes a forearm to the helmet like Brock Purdy did.
Yeah,
and now he's on concussion protocol.
You know what you do? You go to the sideline, say I'm fine, and you go back out there. It's football, baby.
Wait a second.
Oh, I know. How
you won't trade a day 2 draft pick for Derrick Henry, but you'll put Danielle Hunter in the backfield to run a tush push?
Who's going to stop Danielle Hunter? No. I'm sorry. I did not say tush push. No, I'm out on the tush push. No, I'd
rather it be a tush push than a handoff. A handoff to Danielle Hunter?
Do you think he's going to drop the ball?
Probably, dude.
But if he gets
the running backs drop the ball.
Marvelous.
Judd's hot take is the incompetence of the coaching staff to put Danielle Hunter in a situation to rush the football.
Right.
That's a teeing up one for Judd Zolgad.
Yeah, dude, if that happens and he fumbles, you're going to roast the Vikings for putting Danielle Hunter in.
Okay, then who do you
offense.
want? I'm just saying that
Not
there's plenty of
player.
there's plenty of big guys. There's plenty of big guys.
CJ Ham. How about CJ Ham?
No, I'm trying to think of more creativity to help
Kevin
O'Connell out. CJ Ham's sitting right there.
Fullback dive.
TJ Hawkinson
every time. I don't know what
Can TJ Hawkinson not fumble the ball? Maybe not for all. I know.
I mean, Alexander Madison's job is to get a rushing touchdown at some point.
Yeah, and guess what? Through 7 games, 0. First time in Vikings history.
You know it's dire when we're sitting here like, just put Danielle Hunter in the backfield. Hopefully that'll work.
I give it a lot of thought. I didn't just say that. I've given this a lot of thought. I'm trying to help.
When did that thought first pop into your head?
Like a week ago.
Wow, you've been sitting on that take for a week.
They don't have a rushing touchdown. Danielle Hunter's a beast. I don't think he's going to get hurt. I'm confident he won't get hurt on that play.
I love it.
I mean,
I want you to let's tweet this clip out or have Judd tweet it. I want like a poll or something. I want to hear what people
love
think
this
about
idea. I love this idea. And then I'm going to be berated with Twitter X comments, which is absolutely fine, by the way. I love you people. I love all of you out there. Keep that too in the clip.
And then
I want that.
Keep it all in the clip.
I love you people out there. From me to you, happy Halloween.
Keep this in the clip, too. Park Tavern is the neighborhood sports bar of the sports dad, Judd Zolgad.
It's a perfect segue because Halloween is coming. Ooh, spooky, scary stuff, right? Well, not so much. Park Tavern wants you to enjoy it. Fun for all ages and stages at the Park Tavern on Saturday. Look at the bowling right there. Park Tavern's got it all. On Saturday, during the day, they have the Tesla and Park Tavern Frunk or Treat happening in the parking lot. That's from 12:30 to 2. Bring the kids in costumes. Come trick or treat in the parking lot. The kiddos are going to love it. And then you know what? At night, get the babysitter, get mom or dad to watch the kids, and you can go back to Park Tavern in the evening for their annual Halloween party, which is going to go from 9 p.m. to 12 a.m. Cosmic bowling on Saturday, costume contest at exactly midnight. Ooh, scary. Prices for the best costume, male and female, and best couple costume, drink specials, and more. Reservations recommended. Ooh, very scary. Come all dressed up. 952-929-6810 or parktavern.net. That parktavern.net is where you want to visit. Oh, Saturday is going to be frightening.
1, 2, 3 rushing touchdowns for Danielle Hunter. I need to speak softly here because there's a creature taking a nap over here. Her name is
she's
Maya.
She's like, shut up, Dad.
We're getting close to the time where I would give her a little midday snack. So I can't say the word FOOD or she'll perk up here, but she loves Nutrisource. Nutrisource chicken and rice. She's she's loving the salmon flavored treats as well lately. She'll mix around the chicken, but right now she's a little like the pescatarian vibe from Maya through Nutrisource.
You know what's not scary? Nutrisource. It's just delicious, and Stella loves it. Stella loves her training rewards treats. I'm going to guess that Stella and her friend right there have a lot in common. Tell us about the Vinster.
They do. The Vinster loves his treats. You know, sometimes, right before bed, I can't get Vinny to go potty every time. It's like, hey, buddy, it's bedtime. We gotta get one more potty breakout. And sometimes he looks at me like, no, I am very comfortable in bed. You're not moving my butt out and going down the stairs to go to the bathroom. What about a Nutrisource treat to get it? Okay, he gets up. He's ready to go. He makes Dad happy.
Yeah. NutrisourcePetFoods.com. That's NutrisourcePetFoods.com to find a Nutrisource retailer near you. And then one more here. Shout out to our friends at Livia before we get to a random Viking of the week on Purple Daily today. It's a great time before the holidays to maybe set the tone going into Thanksgiving, Christmas season, whatever you celebrate with our friends at Livia, Judd.
Absolutely. In fact, that sports dad a couple of years ago helped me take off 40 pounds. The best part, they're going to help you take it off. They're going to help you keep it off. In fact, I am scheduled to talk to a gentleman by the name of Sean today who lost, get this, in 20 weeks, 62.7 pounds. He has now lost in 24 weeks, 76 pounds. Guys, all of these conversations are why Livia Weight Control Centers is the place for you. If you've been procrastinating and it's getting colder now and you're thinking, I'm going to be on the couch, I'm going to gain more weight, why not lose it instead? And if you join now, here's the incentive, 3 months for free. That's right, 3 months for free with a program that works. 855-GO-LIVEA, Livia.com, LIVEA.com. Check them out. Start on your weight loss journey. Guys, I'm going to tell you right now, you'll be very glad that you did when all those clothes that might not fit now will be fitting you.
Yes, indeed. All right, it's time for a random Viking of the week here. I believe we didn't do this last week. It was because we didn't have a third person to give us the clues. So we had a week off last week. Judd had a 4-week winning streak going into 2 weeks ago, and then I snapped it with Mike Wallace. Took about a half hour for us to figure out Mike Wallace. But.
And I would like to apologize again. Like, there are things that I get crap for from fans and stuff who are like, oh, your take was stupid, blah, blah, blah. I will tell you right now, you're wrong, I'm right. But on this one, this was just an embarrassment by me. Like, we sat there, Mike Wallace.
He's just one of those guys. It was a random time in Vikings history.
I know. But I mean, I covered it, and like Declan's clues weren't exactly by the end. He was basically almost giving
his initials are MW.
Yeah.
It rhymes with Bike Paulus.
I looked. Yes. Apologies, Mike Wallace.
Greg Jennings.
All right.
So all time. So it's going to be Judd's turn to throw out the clues. All time, Judd has 61 wins. Declan with 29. Although Declan's last win was the Hank Basket controversy from like 2 months ago. So Declan's trying to get back on the board here in the new era. With all three of us competing on a week-to-week basis, Judd has 9 wins. I have 6. Declan has 3. A few of the most recent random Vikings are Mike Wallace, Sean Hill, Cedric Faison, Carl Eller, Dwayne Clemens, Mo Williams, Bubby Brister. So Judd's going to throw out the clues. We get up to 3 strikes each. If we hit that third strike, we're eliminated. The other person automatically gets the victory. And here we go. Away we go.
All right.
No cheating.
Clue number 1. This former Viking is from Frankfort, Michigan. Frankfort. So Frank, F-O-R-T. Michigan.
Okay. You spell that again? Just want to make sure.
One more time.
Frank, Frank, Fort, Fort. It's all one word. It's
Oh, it's all
located
one word.
It's
Oh.
all located in Michigan, not Frankfurt, Germany. Frankfurt,
Is
Michigan.
that in the upper? Is that the Upper Peninsula? Is that in the the
I
Gloves?
believe it is the Upper Peninsula. I believe it was. I did
Did his
this.
family have like a second home, a cabin?
Yeah.
Anywhere?
I think they were big Huskies fans, and I think they were Packers fans, but they might have been Lions fans. I forget. I did the research on this. I was expecting to do this a week ago, so I've had this.
You had to sit on it.
So I've sort of forgotten. So if you two smartasses are past asking me about Frankfort, Michigan, I'll give you the second clue.
I'm ready.
He played college football at Michigan State, choosing that option over playing for the Tennessee Volunteers, Chip Scoggins land, and South Carolina. So Michigan State was his college.
So SEC schools, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Michigan State.
Clue number 3. He made all Big Ten for the Spartans. So he was a very successful college football
Sparties.
player. His favorite player growing up, not surprisingly, and this does tell his favorite team as a child, was Barry Sanders. As many, I'm sure, Michiganders he was a fan of Barry Sanders. All right.
You wouldn't do this, would you? You wouldn't. It wouldn't be. Keep going.
The next clue is I'm going to give you guys a pretty good time perspective on things. The Sanders one's that sort of does, but this one's going to give you a better time clue. He was recruited at Michigan State by Nick Saban. So Nick Saban was
Can
the
you
coach
believe
who
that?
recruited him.
Nick Saban had Michigan State had Nick freaking Saban.
I think, yeah, I think they had him after he was on Belichick's staff with the Browns.
I think didn't he go one stop
Great
before
football
Michigan
life.
State and then
Great football life, by the way. That Browns coaching staff. All right. More clues on time. He played a key role in the Spartans' 2000 bowl victory over Florida in the Citrus Bowl. So Sparty won a bowl game in 2000 over Florida in the Citrus Bowl, and this man played a key role in that win.
God, I feel like Michigan State Vikings players should stand out. You know, it's like I can think of like a handful of them. I mean, old Kirky boy, obviously, it's one of them.
He was selected in the 6th round of the NFL draft in 2000 by a team that's now currently in the NFC North, but it was not the Vikings.
So say it again. He was
Okay, so he's a 6th round pick
okay.
in the NFL in 2000 by an NFC North team, but that team was not the Vikings. I think it was still the Central Division back then. I think it had changed in the early 2000s, but I might be wrong.
Boy. Interesting. Okay.
All right. He was signed as a free agent by the Minnesota Vikings in 2005.
Oh my gosh.
I feel like Declan's going to at least take a guess here.
Was it Darian Scott?
Is that an official guess?
Yeah.
No.
One strike for me.
All right. That year, 2005, would end up being his only season with the Vikings.
Oh boy. Okay.
Wow. Oh man. So interesting.
All right. 2 years before he signed as a free agent with the Vikings in 2005, the Vikings actually signed him to an offer sheet that the team he was with in the NFC North matched. So 2003, the Vikings tried to lure him away.
Oh.
It was matched at the time. 2 years later, he would be available. Keep going.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
All right. The team that matched that offer sheet, his original team, was the Chicago Bears.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh my god.
While the 2005 season was his last in the National Football League, he did go on to play in the Arena Football League with Chicago.
God.
Arena League, huh?
Mm-hmm.
What? I'm thinking, wow, what?
Can't think of the name.
Okay, we're
Boy,
about to
this
get.
is
I'm about to get into clues that you both want to.
much
You both.
more obvious.
I'm going to forewarn you. Be close to the mic because
Okay.
we might have a photo
I think
finish
I got
here.
the position, and I can't.
I feel a little lost. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little lost here. This is right before I started covering the Vikings
Yes.
professionally.
Yes.
So,
All right. In this gentleman's youth, he was more of a soccer player than a football player.
I say I know. That's
Morton
where I was
Anderson?
going to.
Nope, not Morton Anderson. Dang, I already said
That's
it.
a guess.
I already
That's
said
an
it.
official
That's a
guess,
guess,
right?
though.
Well, you're both okay.
Aaron Elling, Paul Edinger.
Yes.
Paul
Edinger.
Edinger.
Okay.
That was my last guess too.
All right.
Paul Edinger. Oh
Paul
my
Edinger.
gosh.
Kicker.
Oh.
Unexplored
Aaron
territory.
Elling was a kicker in that era
That's a
too,
good
wasn't he?
guess. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
was a
was he was a Ticey kicker before Paul Edinger. I think he might have been in 2004.
Wow.
Paul Edinger, dude.
Kickers
Wow.
have been a largely unexplored territory.
It's a great category for sure. Yes.
It just had the one problem is it's got to be
Scary.
creative because
Yeah.
you're going to tip it off really quickly if you're not creative.
No, it was good. It was very creative. Yes.
We've
Nice
used
job.
Gary and Reese Lloyd, I think. I think that might be the only guys we've used. Have you used Mort?
I
used
don't
Mort.
think we've used Mort. No.
Yeah, I feel like we haven't used a ton of kickers.
There's a few guys in there. Hey, you can get your Vikings related memorabilia for a gift for Judd if you're looking to buy Judd something for his birthday or maybe for a holiday.
Birthday? That'd be nice.
This Harrison Smith, Harry the Hitman custom signed jersey. ScoreNorth.com/shop and click on merchandise, or I should say collectibles, the collectibles section here. ScoreNorth.com/shop, click on collectibles, and you can find all sorts of amazing items, memorabilia, signed autographs to deck out your basement, your man cave, or great gift ideas for the next couple of months, courtesy of our friends at Universal Sports Auctions. Use the code SCORE, SKOR, at checkout to get 10% off everything store-wide. So there's the Random Viking of the week here, Purple Daily, where we just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die. We'll see you live on the Purple Daily YouTube channel Friday for a Feedback Friday just after 10 o'clock Central Time.